Hello and welcome to this edition of Beyond the Politics, a regular examination of the events happening right here in the Quinte region and the people who work so hard behind the scenes to make it all happen. I'm your host, Paul Martin. Joining me, my regular co-host, columnist for the Belleville Intelligencer, Colin Mackay.
Thanks, Paul.
And new MP for Hastings, Lennox, and Addington, Shelby Kramp-Neuman.
Thank you for having me.
First things first, is the proper title now member-elect or member? Where are we in the swearing-in process?
No, fair enough. Member of Parliament-elect. I'm still a wannabe. At this point, thankfully, we have scheduled our swearing-in, and I'm scheduled in for this coming Thursday. So it's happening soon.
So let's get right into it. Much more than a wannabe,
okay.
Since you've already been elected. Okay, that was
that
was a fairly decisive moment. Let's go back to election night, and we'll talk about the campaign in a moment. But first, we were all watching the results come in, and a fairly decisive win for you in what was a Conservative riding at election night last time, but sort of went through a lot of changes in between with the drama with Derek Sloan. And of course, you were running against other candidates, but also Mike Bossio, who was a former MP for the Liberals in the same riding. So this was kind of a unique race. Like, there were a lot of things going on here. What was election night like for you, and how did that unfold in your camp?
Election night for me seems like so long ago, but it was just over a month ago now. I was at home, surrounded by my family and some of the close people from my campaign team. And the numbers started rolling in. All day, all evening, I was strangely calm. Even my campaign manager said to me, how are things going? How are you feeling? And I was strangely calm. Not because I thought I had it, but because I'd been there before. It's different being a candidate versus being a campaign manager. So I was strangely calm, but when the numbers started coming in, I was, of course you like to see it. It's encouraging. However, early on, it was only about 10 or 10:30 when the Liberal candidate, Mike Bossio, did call to concede. And at that point, I even acknowledged to him, thank you for calling, but I'm not ready to accept it yet. It's still early. There's still a number of polls to come in. And because of the diversity of the riding from the north to the south end, there's a lot of different polls and a lot of different demographics that we had to take into consideration. So
I wanted to make sure you won.
I was not ready to concede. So until I was certain, I was actually talking to a lot of people, and I started getting congratulatory texts because it was coming through the television. I'm going, okay, this is happening. So there with my husband and my kids, and my mom and my dad and my sisters was...
Did they have the check mark on the little TV? Did they give it to you?
They did. It was overwhelmingly emotional, extremely thrilled. It was quite a feeling. And I think I've been on that high since, because there's so much work that goes into it. And
you mean the campaign?
Into the campaign. There's so much work in a campaign that it's almost like you're so happy, but I was as happy for everybody around me and the team and my family, because it was such a joint effort.
Sort of like, thank you for working to get me elected?
It was unbelievable, yeah.
What was your first reaction? You've been to Ottawa since the election, but that would have been your first trip as an MP-elect. So you've been there before many times, with your father, serving, working, but all of a sudden now you're almost scouting, taking a look into the future as to what that's going to be. How special a moment was that?
It was pretty magical. I actually texted my husband and I said, I think I should pinch myself that this is actually happening. Walking up the hill towards West Block, even when I was parking, I'm going, okay, this is for real. This is happening.
Well, you're one of 338 people that got elected to represent your riding.
And I think this is sometimes an overused statement, but it's extremely true. And I know that people say that it's such an incredible privilege to be elected. It's a privilege, it's an honor. But with that is undoubtedly a huge amount of responsibility. And I don't take that responsibility lightly. I feel like I have a tremendous task at hand. And too often people get elected to be a member of Parliament and they, shoulders back and they get comfortable and they, get their green seat in the House of Commons, and they forget what got them there. And for me, I know what got me there, and it was the people that I connected with day in and day out, and the results that people not want, but they expect, and they really, they should get. And there's no other way. But I think it's so easy to get up there and get, caught up in the world stage of you're a member of parliament. Yes, that's part and parcel of it. But more importantly, I'm elected as a member here in Hastings, Lennox, Addington.
So are you talking sort of big picture versus little picture sort of thing? Like you want to represent the people that voted you in?
Yes, by all means. And you hear that a lot when you're knocking on doors, is that, don't forget who I am and don't change. And what I can attest to people is that what you see with me is what you get. If I don't know the answer, I'm not going to make it up. If I need help, I'm going to ask. If I'm having a rough day, I'm not going to try and hide it. I'm going to say, you know what? Things are not good. So what you see is what you get. And I think people are so tired of people being too polished and too perfect and not being honest about how they feel. And Canadians just want real talk. It might not always be the popular thing to say, but it's the truth.
Well, you're allowed to have a bad day too. I mean,
We're
we
human.
all are. Exactly.
We're human.
So were the kids involved in the campaign at all? Like, how did they feel about mom running to be an MP?
Yeah, well, it was definitely a conversation that we had as a family prior to, because if indeed I would be successful, it would be a different lifestyle that we'd be looking forward to if mom's going to be in Ottawa from time to time. The kids are at a really good age. They're very independent. They work hard at their academics. They're extremely busy with sports, but I'm really good at time management. So as long as I have to be, as long as we're organized and they get their sleep, then we're good.
Is it a little different for your family too? Because I mean, you've had to go through this one step removed with your father's many campaigns, and they've seen this literally their entire life growing up. So it's not like you approach them for the very first time and you say, you know what, we're going to do something completely different. They know the ins and outs of all of it. No,
in fact, when one of my first budget meetings when Tori was born, she was at my budget meeting at council and nursing. So it was she's been around it from the get-go. She and Reese and Tatum have they've been at my father's swearing in, so it's not new. They've been around public life. They've been to events with me. They've been to council meetings. They've been ribbon cutting. They've been knocking on doors. So they've established some people skills as well doing this.
So moving forward, would you encourage either of them to someday get into the same kind of thing?
Good question. So Tori was working on her civics class this summer. She was doing a summer course, and the one question at the end of the course was, if the federal election were held today, how would you vote? And Tori was like, well, what do you think, Mom? What do I write? And I said, well, you need to figure that out for yourself. So she needed to do her research on what all the different parties offer and who their leaders are and that sort of thing. So I really encourage some self-evaluation and do some research and find out for yourself.
Did she say I'll vote for Mom?
She did, finally.
Good call. At least if you want everything in the family to be all right.
No, by all means.
Speaking of difficult questions, I'll turn you over to Colin for Colin's Corner.
Yeah. Okay, Shelby, these are really hard. Do you have a particular animal that you like?
Absolutely. For those of you that know me well, I have a Springer Spaniel.
For a dog.
It's definitely a dog. Her name is Pepper. I walk with her every day. I'm an early riser. Every day, every night, whenever I have an opportunity to.
So it gives you a chance to have some alone time too.
Oh no, she's fabulous. Often if I have speeches that I want to prepare, if I'm going to an event,
she has to listen to
she'll listen to it while I'm out walking.
And then she looks up and come on.
No, she's great.
All right, my second question, I guess, do you have a particular beverage that you like to indulge in, or like morning, afternoon, late at night, anything?
So I'll confess right now, actually, I don't drink coffee, I don't drink alcohol, I don't drink wine. I'm pretty pure.
So water?
Did you see the halo? I think my family makes up for me.
Oh!
Zing!
She meant coffee.
Of course.
That's what she
Of
meant.
course.
Well, since it's close to Halloween, do you have a particular chocolate bar that you like to indulge in since you don't drink alcohol or tea or coffee?
Anything mint arrow, mint.
Interesting.
Mint flavored ice cream, mint chocolate.
So a Kit Kat bar with mint, you'd like that?
I would, if it was mint, I'm good.
All right. So do you have a particular car or make of car that you like to drive around or you'd like to have? Or
Well, I joked on the campaign that it's the Mustang Shelby. But at this point, whether I'm a Ford girl or a GMC girl, it's immaterial to me.
all right, now this last question is a bit broader. So if
Okay.
you could change anything in the world, or let's say you wanted a wish list, what would you consider?
I think my wish list would be, and I think it's doable, I want to inspire people. I want to inspire young Canadians. I want to inspire middle-aged Canadians. I want to inspire people that are in their retirement of there is hope to be able to put that Canadian flag on the back of our backpack and be proud of it once again. I want to inspire people that when we stand for O Canada, we do it proudly, and inspire people that we can get back and be respected on the world stage as we once were.
So how are you going to do that?
If I knew all the answers.
I know.
You said no hard questions.
Yeah, you know what? There's no magic answer. It's not something that's done overnight.
Well, no, this is something that's not going to happen.
It's a big task. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it.
So be yourself.
I'm just going to be me, say it the way it is. I'm going to try and inspire people to aspire to be the very best they can be. And it really sounds cliche, but when I was in grade 8 and I wanted to be the student council president, I did it. When I was in high school and I wanted to be the high school student council president, I was co-president with another friend of mine.
So set
I
goals.
did it. Set goals, make them realistic, and hold yourself accountable and do it.
Realistic and achievable.
100%.
So do you feel that's part of the role of someone in civil service?
By all means. I think the whole analogy of the SMART goals, whether they're specific and measurable, but actually hold yourself accountable. Write them down, whether it's a visionary board or whether it's goals that you've written down on a piece of paper or on your iPad. Tell somebody, whether it's a fitness goal that I would have or whether it's a goal to be the best possible public servant that I can be, then I'm going to do it.
It's funny you say smart because that just proved to me that you're a teacher at one point.
We have about a minute left. Lastly, we usually talk about plans, but we'll forego that. What message do you want for the people who voted for you, for the people of the riding? What message do you want to leave them with as you embark on this next stage?
No tough questions, Paul.
No, I think I would certainly like to start by saying thank you to all of them for placing their confidence in me, because being an elected member of Parliament is not something that any member should be taken for granted. I think anybody that puts their name forth for public service it's a huge sacrifice. I think that what I can ask of people, or I could share with people, is to have belief in me, patience with me, and recognize that I'm an open book. I want to know what your concerns are. I want to be able to represent, and I can't do that unless you talk to me, talk to the people in my offices. And from a service perspective, I don't want to have a good office. I want to have an amazing office.
And we have to wrap, but we wish you luck with that. This has been Beyond the Politics.
Awesome. Thank you.